This is going to change your life. The last words I remember my brother telling me, before my life did in fact begin to change forever. Welcome to The Practical Edge. We're here to strip down the old and rebuild a better you, helping you redesign your life with clarity, courage, and practical strategies. If you're ready to stop settling and start evolving, you're in the right place. I'll be your host, Bill in England. Now, let's get on to the show. Do me a favor, everyone. Give up a positive rating and review for this podcast, and make sure you share it with friends and family, especially if you feel like it's something that they could benefit from. This is how we grow our community. I can serve and help impact more people, but at the same time, grow our platform to become better every day. So many years ago, like many others, I began to hit a sticking point in my personal growth. It was something we called a pandemic. Because of uncertainty and being unsure what my career would look like when everything was shutting down, some were voluntarily going furloughed, while others were being asked to go on furlough. It changed my perspective that I've never thought I'd worry or I'd be at risk of losing my job. But here we are. Changing and breaking through plateaus becomes even more essential when there's something like uncertainty of work and uncertainty of what the future might look like. Now, realistically, we can't ever predict what the future is going to look like, but we can hedge our bets against what the future may come or what may come of the future, right? And what we choose to do with our time now compounds to hedge our bets on our decision to live our life against what the future may bring. Conveniently, around the same time that everything was going on, I got a book in the mail, along with a message saying, "This is going to change your life." That was the last words I remember my brother telling me before my life did in fact begin to change forever. It was a miracle that happened, but not a miracle as in everything magically worked out. As much as these steps are simple and actionable, the challenging part is in the execution. We can talk all day long about theoretical aspects, thoughts, and ideas. We can affirm and speak to ourselves daily, but without the action, it's all for nothing beyond fooling ourselves. I have found that when I stick to these steps that I'm going to share with you consistently, you'll become more clear and more organized. This routine promotes leaps in growth with chasing less squirrels and moving onward and upward in life. The series of steps I'm going to share with you here today is called Savers. If I did not believe that it has life-changing capabilities, I would not be sharing it with you on my platforms so many times. Savers is an acronym for silence. Giving yourself a moment to reflect and think about anything you might need to, whether that's gratitude to reshape your thinking for the day, recapping success and positives from yesterday, or even what you want to learn from yesterday as takeaways, so that you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. Giving yourself a moment of silence to quiet your mind and stir up some creativity. This moment is not intended to be used for scrolling on your phone, listening to lyrical music, or necessarily just finding yourself feeding into any distractions that may take place. As much as it is hearing yourself think and possibly even acknowledging the thoughts that come to your mind when you first start your day. It can be used as a meditation or prayer or just silence as you go for a walk outside. You may find that this is going to be uncomfortable some days. Others, it's going to feel like there's not much going on up there when you're trying to reflect. This is going to be a challenge to your comfort zone mentally. After giving yourself about 3 to 5 minutes of this or longer, you can choose to begin to verbalize and write down the next step. Affirmations. As I mentioned before, affirmations are wonderful. They're a great resource and a great tool to begin reshaping your mind and reshaping your thought process. But we need to keep in mind that affirmations, as wonderful as they are, it is the actions that are essential in association to those affirmations that make the difference. As we vocalize and write down statements that may serve us best, this is something that we could consider rereading or continue to affirm to ourselves. Meaning that your internal and external dialogue is affirming whether you acknowledge that or not. So that when you find yourself saying something negative or thinking something that is unserving, audit that thought process and flip it to something a little more ideal, something that is focusing on the positive, something that's going to shift your mindset to become more positive, more creative, and shifting your focus will also alter what it's called your reticular activating system. It's a section of our brain allowing us to focus on becoming an upgraded version of ourselves that we are all worthy of becoming. When we begin to think of something, we start to focus in a particular way. If you want to, cognitively or intentionally, think about positives in your day. Think about positive mindset, positive reflection, gratitude, as mentioned before. This is a specific focus that starts to build up your reticular activating system in your brain to better do that on any given day. Just like a muscle, you become more efficient, more effective, and it becomes a little bit easier to do with that consistency. Initially, this is not an easy feat in execution, as we might think it's silly or uncomfortable to especially hear yourself say some positive things out loud to yourself and about yourself. If that's the case, we have to work on it. It's something that we have to not just do, but also mean. When we continue to benefit from positive affirmations, it begins to shape our thought process, which in turn is going to shape our actions. And again, that is what the foundation of change requires. Once you get into a rhythm with this, you will find benefit from it in the moments throughout each day. When I started this journey, here are some of the affirmations that I told myself. I am strong. I am capable. I am smart and I am worthy. I have a millionaire mindset. I am hardworking and resilient. I am worthy of love. And I am grateful for my life. I take ownership of my life and everything in it. Giving focus to self-love, personal confidence, gratitude, and successful thinking. When we begin to take ownership of our lives, we can no longer use the emotional cop-out and victimization for ourselves. I say that because we want to avoid that mindset as quickly as possible, as it's only going to be a limiting belief holding us back from living a better, more fulfilling, happier, and healthier life, which also helps facilitate the next step into creating a clear and conscious vision. Visioning is one of the amazing points of reflection. I can go back years from now and see what I wrote down for myself with ambitious thoughts. I had no idea how I would achieve my vision, but I gave myself time to think about what I wanted my life to look like in 1, 3, and 5 years from now, being as specific as possible. What vacations I wanted to take, what my family looked like, what my income sources and quantity did, and what I expected out of myself. Believe it or not, I've accomplished a good chunk of my vision, as it also forced me to not feel guilty to take that second vacation that I had set for my future self. Visioning could be more along the lines of thinking about what you want the perfect day to look like. What's the perfect day, followed by designing a step-by-step plan, working yourself backwards from that vision. You don't have to know exactly how to get there, nor do you have to have the ability to build that specific plan just yet, as this is the idea. Setting a vision for yourself encourages you to stretch out of your comfort zone where you have to change and becoming the person you need to be in order to live a life that you're proud of. Sure, the day-to-day is going to throw curveballs at you, requiring pivoting and shifting to your plans. Nothing goes perfect as planned. However, that may also help us focus on what is more important to us in order to execute the necessary tasks to move forward. Once you've written a vision down, one strategy to improve it is by rereading it to yourself and see if you're focusing on personal development in order to accomplish your future goals. Again, these should be goals set out to stretch you beyond your comfort zone, to promote a little bit of angst, a little bit of haste behind you, because we don't necessarily spend all of our free time being as productive as we truly could be. If you're looking for strategies to improve your health, and not just from an educational or professional development perspective, we can also phase into our next step, improving physical health, energy levels, personal confidence, and strength to live. That next step is exercise. Exercise increases circulation, getting your body woken up and ready to take on that day. It may feel difficult, especially moving early in the morning, but you will eventually start to notice increased energy for about the next 4 to 6 hours after your workout. And you know you've accomplished some large feat in that day towards improving your physical health. So as you go through that day, you already have a sense of accomplishment. It doesn't mean that it's easy each and every single day. There's going to be days you're not going to feel like doing it. This is the days you especially need to get up, need to get out, and need to make it happen. Just to build and affirm your capabilities, reassuring the habit and the discipline necessary to become the person you want to be. Even myself, I don't feel like working out each and every day, but when I make it to my space, to my gym, and just start moving, the first couple sets might be a little slow, they might be a little groggy, but when you do that, you start to wake up, you start to feel a little bit better, you start to move a little quicker, you start to feel a little stronger, and it starts to build on itself. Just start somewhere each and every day that you schedule your workouts, and eventually see what happens, see what your body does, because there's a high chance you've succeeded in discipline by showing up and pushing yourself a little bit, that you can make it through that entire workout, especially on the days when you feel like you just can't. Exercise is also a great benefit to improve emotional health by executing on what some tend to believe is the most challenging task to execute in your day. It also increases your own confidence and accountability with yourself by doing what you said you're going to do. Note that there are going to be days, again, that you just don't feel like it. It's okay to acknowledge that feeling, but it doesn't mean we get to skip our workouts for that day. Having a workout plan in advance helps us get that physical momentum. After that, the movement continues to get easier until the workout is done. And when we have the brain and the body in a more peak environment for success, we can phase into the next step, which is reading. When I say reading, I don't mean the news or some fear-mongering source. I am referring to something productive, something to focus on that increases your educational personal development, or an article that you've been putting off for weeks or months. If you're struggling with affirmations, read a book on affirmations or exercise. You can check out the Miracle Morning book in the show notes and get more out of the book beyond what I'm sharing with you today, for example. I've been able to get through up to 46 books in a single year while taking notes on them, all focused on personal development, and taking those notes on hundreds of books since I've started this journey. The result is not only doubling my happiness, income, education, and relationships with those around me, but also expanding to support thousands of others along my own journey towards self-actualization. But all of this would not come without the final step, which is scribing or journaling. I have worked years on refining my own success journal, using research to shape its effectiveness, the prompts, and shifting my mindset in the direction I want and need to live the best life possible. I write my challenges and how I overcome those challenges. I write my day down and how I'm able to have a clear, direct thought through my day. I fill the time blocks to ensure that I'm not double booking myself. I write down 3 of my most important next steps and one most important thing that I need to execute for that day in order to feel successful. I even write down a quote that inspires me or a lesson learned for each and every day. I have peers that semi-sarcastically say, I have an answer for everything. They might call me the mayor of the company, which I find entertaining, but it's because I've interviewed over 14,000 people by now, read hundreds of books, listened to countless podcasts and talks consumed. I've been able to learn from a large number of people, allowing me to continue to grow each and every day, learning from others and their success, challenges, failures, and so much more. So, there are the 6 steps to a successful morning routine to live a happier, healthier life. Silence, affirmations, visioning, exercise, reading, and scribing, or called journaling. Success doesn't happen by chance. When you can build habits so that you stick to your routine in alignment with your goals, overcoming your feelings, because when you begin to overcome your feelings, growth is soon to follow, and success is in alignment with the momentum through that growth. This does not happen by chance. It happens intentionally. So remember, your next level doesn't come from wishing. It comes from daily consistent action. Lean into discomfort and stay relentless. Average is optional. Growth is a choice, and the practical edge is where you sharpen that choice. Until next time, stay focused, stay driven, and keep leveling up.